Hello all. Dash back with another video. I know it's been a while since my last one, but I figured this was a great time to go ahead and start another video because over the past weekend I participated at the Orlando Regionals for the Gundam Card Game. My record was 5-4, nothing amazing by any chance, but I mean, honestly, for this being my first major tournament, I was really happy with it, how I did, because I was kind of iffy on my deck, which I will cover here in a little bit. But I just kind of want to talk about my experience at the Orlando Regionals and how it was at being my first time at a regional, and just the kind of decks I saw and how my deck performed. I'll do a deck profile on mine just to give people an idea because I got a lot of reactions out of my deck because people were kind of like not expecting certain cards when I pulled them out. So it was fun. So I started off with a win, then it was a loss, win, loss, win, loss. I played the whole 9 rounds, so I kept because by round 6 I was 3-3, so I was like, okay, there's gonna be 3 more rounds. Might as well just play it out and see how well I do. Which I managed to get to the top 256, which might not be that impressive honestly, but I placed 142nd, so pretty fun. Um, so of the 9 decks I saw, it was 5 green white decks that were doing Wing Zero. I think 2 of them had Shenlong included, but for the most part, it was the standard green white Wing Zero package that you probably would expect. There's 1 blue white Freedom Blocker deck, 2 blue green Rush decks, 1 Year Wars, and then a blue red like peen deck with Quibbly and Kshatriya. So those were the decks that I went up against. I was 3-2 against the green whites, 1-1 against the 1 Year Wars, which is honestly the 2 decks I expected to see the most of. I won against the blue white and I lost against that blue red. But I really was happy about seeing what won the regionals. So as you can see, thank Eggman for having breakdowns of the total number of decks out there. So like a good portion of them were green white, which of the top 16, half of them were green whites. But even with half of them being green white in the end, the top 4 ended up being completely different archetypes that usually we're not seeing. And I'm happy for this game doing this because honestly, it's good for the game if not every deck that wins is the same archetype. So, I didn't want to see green white Wing Zero win. I didn't want to see blue green rush decks win, which I'm gonna spoil alert, my deck is a blue green deck, but it's kind of a 1 Year War rush deck, but it's different. So we'll get there here in a little bit. But seeing the blue reds and blue purple in the top 4 was really nice, and I'm hoping that kind of shake things up. People don't stop playing as much green white because I know you see it on the Facebook groups, you see it in the Discords. Everybody's like, "Fuck Wing Zero, I'm tired of the green white decks." But it is what it is. So this is the deck I went 5-4 with. Kind of a standard green blue package. You got your gun tanks, the Zaku's, Rizel, Anksha's, Rickdoms, and the Amuro package. But this is where I did things differently. So when I was trying to create a deck to go into regionals with, my thoughts were, do I want to do. I wanted to run kind of a Wing Zero deck, but I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing with green white. So I kind of thought, I'm like, what can I do different? So I came up with this blue green idea where it's like you kind of run like the aggro blue green package up to a certain point, and then you sprinkle in that Kira package with some Wing Gundams and Wing Gundam Zeros. So usually my first 5 turns or up to level 5, my package looks like your standard 1 Year War Rush deck, and people are playing like that's what they're expecting to go up against. And then by turn 6, if I have it in hand, I can drop the Wing Gundam with Hero linked on them, and it catches them off guard so many times. And then if you get to the late game, the Wing Zero can just clean it up. But, you know, I did a lot of play testing with this. It wasn't very, it was kind of consistent, of course, because you got a lot of low level drop units. But of course, your hand can brick if you get like your pilots and Wing Zeros and Wing Gundam and none of these low level units. So it is what it is. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. People enjoyed going against it for the most part. And I'm glad there was no salt. So round one was green white, which I won. Round two was that was the blue red, I think. So I got two linked wings on the field, and they just cleared them with Kasatrias. So that I had no answer for it after that point. Then I think it was blue white after that, and then it kind of just went green white, green white, green white, and then those last two matches ended up being blue greens 1 year War Rushes decks. But I managed to go 5-4, got some additional resource packs, and had a lot of fun. Out of my group, I was the only one to play all 9 rounds. All my friends kind of had less luck in those early rounds, and then they kind of just dropped. But this one was a really fun deck to play. It's something different for the most part. If you don't want to do your slow white decks that run Wing Zero, basically you just stall until you get to the late game, right? I really like the aggressiveness of this deck. Like, the only way I could beat another blue green deck if they're running the 1 year war variant is I have to start off strong enough that I break their shields and their life down before they can break mine down. At that point, they're focusing my units, they're not focusing my life, and I can usually win those matches. But, sometimes this deck does stall out. You only run the two show of resolve, so besides that, you're not having much draw power, so you gotta hope that, you're hitting your burst if you're losing shields. You just gotta draw into your ramp pretty well. Like, if you get like start off your opening hand with an Amuro and a Gundam, that's such a difference because you can like play the long game, wait, set up your board, and then by turn 4 you're dropping the Amuro Gundam, resting any blockers they might have, and then you can just sweep the field however you need to. Running the gun tanks and Ankhshas, there are so many moments where I would just like bait them into blocking something or attacking, and then I have these in hand that I can just ping something to death without having to trade one of my units into it. Rick Dom's great for the breach if you clear their base, and also Wing Zero, Wing Gundam. If they're not, as long as it's not the asteroid base or the desert base, you're getting that breach 5 off, and you can get all the bases cleared and all the shields cleared. So it starts off very strong, and then you have the Wing Zero that just comes in and cleans at the late game. So honestly, I'm looking forward to the next regional. I'm looking forward to seeing how my decks can change and how everyone else's decks can change, because I know some people say this game's kind of getting stale because you see the same kind of cards, the same kind of things. I mean, after all, this whole deck, I'm running only GDO 1 and Star Deck 1 through 4 cards. So this is all, there's nothing new in this deck. And unfortunately, I think that's a weakness of GDO 2. There are some great packages from GDO 2, like the Quibblies I saw ran in those red decks. And I think like that the winning deck, that was like a Forsago that was in there, right? So like, you're gonna see probably a lot more of these kind of decks going forward, because obviously people are gonna follow what trends are going on. But I'm looking forward to GDO 3. I think maybe it will add some more variety. I think that's what some people are asking for, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, that's just covering my deck. I just wanted to talk about my experience. Nothing too deep or complicated. So I'll see y'all next time.